Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lieutenant Colonel Sean Cruz, the 152nd Comptroller Flight Commander and your narrator for today's ceremony. On behalf of Colonel David Chauvin, the Chief of Staff for the Nevada Air National Guard, welcome to the 152nd Airlift Wing Change of Command.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose brush stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, halt!
Please join me in a prayer in a manner that's meaningful to you. Living God, you place people in positions and in authority and responsibility for the common good of our organization and community. We thank you for the work and the leadership of Colonel Jake Hammons and the support of his wife, Sydney Ann, and their children, Alexandra, Brennan, and Heidi. Colonel Hammons has been a faithful leader who has challenged us in many ways to grow from good to great, and we're thankful to how he has encouraged us to excel in all that we do. As Colonel Hammons takes on his new responsibilities in our nation's capital, we ask that you use him and his family to make a positive difference in their new community as they have in the Reno-Tahoe region. Watch over them and care for them in a special way. And Father, we are grateful for our new wing commander, Jeremy Ford, and his wife, Melissa, and their children, Clara, James, Alice, and Maggie. We celebrate with them in this new opportunity of service and leadership. We ask that you sustain them with your compassion and grace, and as they each make sacrifices in serving our community and country. May you grant wisdom and guidance to Colonel Ford as he navigates the challenges of today and tomorrow. We ask as he shoulders the command of our wing, may the words of Jesus, to whom much is given, much is required, inspire him to lead with boldness and sensitivity, thoughtfulness and enthusiasm, pride and humility. Bless him with strength and endurance for the task of leadership that you have ordained, and may your presence continually be his peace. Thank you for these moments that we can honor these two leaders and their families. We ask these things in the name of God, our Savior. Amen. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Chauvin.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. What a great day to be here in Nevada Air National Guard. I want to start off by thanking everyone. Congressman Amity, thanks for coming today, sir. It's an honor to have you here. General Barry, Chief Williams, thanks for hanging out with us today and mentoring our troops. All other DVs, those attending virtually, and most importantly, the men and women of the 152nd Airlift Wing. A special thanks to Tech Sergeant Norris for her rendition of the national anthem, Chaplain Gregory for providing the invocation, and Lieutenant Colonel Cruz for being our narrator today. And lastly, those who spearheaded this change of command, thank you all for taking time out of the June Super Drill to support Colonel Hammons and Colonel Ford today. When it was decided I would preside over this ceremony, I thought about how I wanted to express my feelings on this change of leadership and the resulting impact on this great organization. If anyone knows me, I like to tell stories. For those who don't know, I grew up in southern Louisiana. My friends and I used to like to frequent this beach called Cipremo Point. It was a fine Louisiana beach that reached out in the Gulf of Mexico. Brown, salty water, a muddy shoreline, and lots of broken glass. On the drive out there, you would drive past Morgan City U.S. Air Force aerostat site, which was a tethered aerostat radar system called TARS. And this operated from 1993 to 2013 to monitor the southern border. We locals laughed because it was actually in Glencoe, Louisiana, not Morgan City. There wasn't a lot in Glencoe, so I can understand why they called it that. About 250 people, and there was an elementary school whose mascot was an alligator. That school served all the podunk communities around. That's where all the kids went. I had a cousin who went to that school, and it must have been pretty good because he did the 4th grade 3 times. It worked out great for me because we were 7th graders together. So it was a feather in my hat being a scrawny, nerdy kid to have a cousin to have your back who drove to school. The only time I was on my own was when the teachers were on smoke break because he'd go out there with them. So I had to fend for myself. Okay, so back to the Taurus site. Going back to why I brought that up. I remember thinking when I was going into the Air Force, man, if only I could get stationed there for 20 years, I'd be set. Reevaluating that opinion now, 23 years later, I didn't realize I was limiting my full capability by doing what was expected in my culture. No one left the small town I lived in. And if you did have a family go astray, they moved to the big city of Lafayette, 30 minutes away. Luckily, the Air Force opened up my aperture, breaking the way of thinking that was ingrained in me. So how does this apply to this ceremony? Across the stage here, I see 2 examples of Air Force officers who did not limit their full capability by letting the start of their military careers dictate where it would ultimately take them. So my guess is when Colonel Ford enlisted in the Army Reserve in 1997, the standard path for him was not taking command of the 152nd Airlift Wing 24 years later. After being commissioned and completing pilot training, he flew the C-21 at Ramstein Air Base. Guard Maintenance Group Commander and Wing Commander, not in the standard career path. He started his guard career by flying C-130s at Mansfield, an embassy job in Hungary, back to Ohio to fly the C-27, a state headquarters gig, back to the C-130, and then back to the C-130 as Mansfield yo-yoed between missions, then off to Guard Bureau to be a branch chief first and a division chief in the A-8. The Reno-Tahoe area was not in the forefront of his mind. He told me he was surprised when he made the NGB command list and surprised when Colonel Hammons called him. Not sure how surprised he was since some DOSA might have accidentally CC'd him on the email, but he said he was anyway, so. He was offered and accepted the position in maintenance and broke the norms of, I have to go back to my state, and came out here and excelled, leading our great maintenance group. And now here he is, taking command of the 152nd Airlift Wing, willing to extend his stature to serve our great state and this great nation. I doubt you would see his career path laid out on any developmental sheet, but he didn't let that dictate his journey to today. I'm also guessing Cadet 4th Class Hammons wasn't thinking C-130 Air Guard Wing Commander on day one of the Air Force Academy in 1996. Nor did the job cross his mind when he graduated DG, earned a Euro NATO pilot training slot, and was selected to fly the F-15C in Alaska. He then became an IFF instructor at Moody and Laughlin Air Force bases in the T-38, serving as a wing exec officer, and then transitioning to the F-16. He went to Nellis and served as an aggressor pilot, test pilot, chief weapons officer, DO, and detachment commander. During that time, he deployed as an information operations targeting chief, E-11A Bacon DO, and did a year in Poland back in the Viper before joining us in 2018. Then he did the unthinkable. He left the Viper to be a C-130 vice commander and then wing commander. So I'm guessing you wanted a real challenge. So don't roll your eyes at me. I know you flew high performance airplanes, but I did too. I flew the C-5. But Colonel Hammond sets the example of breaking your cultural norms, going outside your comfort zone, and not limiting your capability. In doing so, he has made us greater than we ever have been before. Today in this crowd sits a future wing command chief, maintenance group commander, and wing commander. But notice I didn't say the 152nd in front of any of those. I in no way want to limit the tremendous potential of anyone out there. You all have an incredible amount of talent, all with the capability to achieve great things if you can break norms and not limit yourself. Our future is limitless. We are fortunate to have such an aggressive tag supporting his airmen, his soldiers, and his civilians. Just look at the recent wins we had in the state legislation process. He laid it out on day one. Have a culture with a foundation of unity. The sum of the whole is greater than the parts. Integrity to ourselves and to one another, and make sure we have a culture of safety, ensuring we protect our most valuable asset, all of you. When we talk about force development, don't limit yourself to being PME complete. That is the minimum. Seek continuous self-improvement. We have 24 Nevada Air National Guard members doing Title 10 and ADOS tours nationwide, with number 25 sitting on this stage departing the fix to work in Air Force Futures. Be inclusive in your decision-making processes. Don't limit yourself to a single way of thinking. Foster diversity of thought from all organizational members. Challenge yourself to be part of our community. It is unfortunate when our citizens don't know we have a base in Reno. No, I'm not from Fallon, or no, I'm not in the Army. We have a tremendous amount of equity because of our COVID response. Keep that momentum going. Reach out and make our community better, and let them make you and this organization better as well. Gentlemen, I have one bit of advice for each of you today, if you'll take it. Colonel Ford, in a few minutes you will be announced for the first time as the 152nd Airlift Wing Commander. When you are, please take a second to look out in the crowd. Think about your journey here, the new journey you are beginning, and the tremendous responsibility you have for the care of these airmen, civilians, and their families. Colonel Hammons, even sooner, you will be announced as a 152nd Airlift Wing Commander for the last time. Please take a second to think about your journey to this point. Take a breath as you look upon this audience and know that this is your wing, your airmen, and also your family. So one last thing, if the DVs could humor an old colonel, please do me a favor. If you could please stand up, turn around, and face the crowd. Let me formally introduce or reintroduce you to the men and women of the 152nd Airlift Wing. Their mission statement is provide ready airmen in combat tactical airlift to combatant commanders in world-class response to our state and nation. This mission statement demonstrates their support for both federal and state mission. You are looking at a portion of the nearly 1,100 airmen who compose this wing. These are the airmen who dropped 1.4 million gallons of retardant on wildfires to protect our neighbors to the west. These are the airmen who garnered an effective rating on their unit effectiveness inspection at the height of a global pandemic. These are the airmen who supported, generated, and flew over 350 hours supporting Operation Capital Response, flying our Army brethren to our nation's capital. And lastly, these are the over 300 airmen who at their peak executed COVID-19 operations protecting the citizens of our great state. A helicopter unit in Vietnam had a quote engraved on their cigarette lighters. It read, "Life has a flavor those protected will never know." These airmen know that flavor, and their combined capabilities are limitless. In closing, General Barry, I promise you this, just as Colonel Hammons did, Colonel Ford will provide our great state and this great nation an unsurpassed force that will fly, they will fight, and they will win. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Chauvin. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit to Colonel Hammons. Attention to orders. Colonel Jacob L. Hammons distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services to the United States as Commander, 152nd Airlift Wing, Reno, Nevada, from 2 November 2019 to 4 June 2021. During this period, the dynamic leadership and extraordinary care for airmen by Colonel Hammons have been significant contributors to the effectiveness and success of the 152nd Airlift Wing. Colonel Hammons orchestrated every facet of the 152nd Airlift Wing to new heights of mission in support of the state's strategic priorities. Additionally, Colonel Hammons led the largest domestic activation in unit history, supporting the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic response. His strategic leadership proved critical during the difficult transition from coronavirus response to wildland firefighting, resulting in 518 sorties, 605 flight hours, and 1.4 million gallons of retardant dropped across the western United States, protecting the civilian populace and property at an 88.4% mission-capable rate. Furthermore, Colonel Hammond's sage direction and preparation garnered an overall effective rating for the 2020 Wing Unit Effectiveness Inspection Capstone, vastly improving prior inspections across all 4 major graded areas. Colonel Hammons ensured the wing experienced all-time high recruiting and retention metrics due to a positive command climate focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, empowering airmen at all levels of the organization to reach their full potential. Lastly, he spearheaded the stand-up of the Silver State Spark Cell and initiated several continuous process improvement programs to address airmen promotions, case management system, and force development, resulting in the Wing's continued top-tier national ranking in case management system and a vastly streamlined airman promotion system, delegating authority to unit-level commanders. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel Hammons reflect great credit upon himself, the Air National Guard, and the United States Air Force. At ease. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander, 152nd Airlift Wing, Colonel Hammons.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Chap, I'm going to take your advice and take a couple seconds to relish this moment, last few moments that I have in command of these incredible men and women in this wing that I am so proud of. So I think that was good advice. I'm just going to say thank you to a lot of people now, and then let Colonel Ford give you his vision. So starting off with our distinguished guest, I want to thank Congressman Anbe. Sir, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a steadfast proponent of this wing and the capabilities that we need to conduct our missions. You have had our back the entire way from day one, and I can't tell you how meaningful that is to all of us. Ms. Miller, thank you for being here as well. Our partnership with NDVS was one of the most fruitful ones we established as we got after resiliency here and really had this campaign of resiliency. The Nevada Department of Veterans Services was crucial in that, and our mayors and governors' challenges as well. And Chief Master Sergeant Williams, thank you for being here as well. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend this day with us. I hope you got the time to speak with our airmen that we were bragging on so much this morning. Nevada National Guard leadership, thank you for being here, Army and Air. Thank you all for your support over the last 2 years, and thank you for continuing to support the men and women of the 152nd Airlift Wing. Major General Barry, sir, thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all that you do and all that you give on a daily basis to make us better. You challenged us, and I feel like we are in a better position because of you. If you have been in a speaking engagement with General Barry at least once, you've probably heard him say, "To whom much is given, much is required." If you've been in a lot of speaking engagements with General Barry like I have, you've heard that said a number of times. And sir, at times over the past 2 years, I wish you wouldn't have said it because I felt like you were speaking everything into reality. But you also said we're all called upon for a time and for a season. And I feel like this team that we had here was called upon for this time and this season. And even though it was unprecedented, what we went through and what we endured, we can hold our heads high after all of that. The 152nd Airlift Wing is the crown jewel of the Nevada National Guard. Thank you for the trust and confidence you had to allow me to run the wing the way that I wanted to run it, and for giving me that latitude. General Hannafin, General Week, thank you, sir, both for being here, and all the rest of the Nevada National Guard leadership. Thank you also to our distinguished community and civic leaders for showing up today. We have incredible community support. We are at a zenith of interacting with our community, and we are so grateful for our community, and I think the feeling is mutual. Welcome also to our retired commanders and chiefs and our cherished retirees. Our support from the retiree community is also something that is extremely important to our members. Of course, I want to say thank you to my family, Sydney, Alexandra, Brennan, Heidi. This has been an incredible 2 years, and without the support of my family, none of this would have been possible. All of those accolades that you heard read on that Legion of Merit would have not been even close to being done had it not been for my family. I love you guys. I'm looking forward to spending more time with you, but we ran a good race, and very, very proud of all of you, and I'm so proud of the men and women that you're growing up to be. Love you. I also want to welcome some friends from our neighborhood, Dennis Mora, Britt, Dave, and Natalie. Thank you for being here today and sharing this special occasion. Thank you for your friendship and for caring for my family at times when I wasn't able to be there. I want to thank Chaplain Gregory, Sergeant Norris, and everyone that made today happen. The protocol team, PA, ComFlight. If you don't know, this doesn't happen by itself. This awesome setup that we have here takes a lot of work to get it done, and a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and everyone did an awesome job on that. Colonel Cruz, I want to thank you for voluntolding to be our narrator today, and thank you for all your sage advice when it came to how we were going to do this. But I did want to say just one thing. I think hats do look cool. I think we can do it. I'm doing it right now. And PA, make sure you get a picture of this. That way everybody will be really confused when they try to plan the next change of command ceremony and there's one person wearing a hat and everybody else isn't. So thank you, Colonel Cruz. I still think it looks cool. I want to thank my wing command team, Colonel Manson, Chief Ash, Mr. Davidson. If you don't know what a wing command team is, it's your vice, it's your chief, it's your honorary commander, and it's your family. So Team 22, we did it the right way. We held to our morals and our standards. We made decisions in the best interest of the wing, and we have no regrets. Like I said before, we started together, we finished together. I'm so grateful for what you were able to give to this organization, and your input and advice made it all possible. Thank you. I also want to thank all the fellow commanders and chiefs in attendance today. I am so proud of the commanders and chiefs we have made over the last 2 years. I think I counted 9 chiefs that we've made over the last 2 years. And for all of you out there, they're hungry, they're ready, and they're going to lead this organization because there came a time about 6 months ago where I was trying to put my foot down on some stuff and the chiefs rolled into my office and said, "Sir, with all due respect, we got this." And I said, "Thank you. Take it." So the chiefs make this place run. We got a great crop of them. We also have a great crop of commanders, and I would not have left this place if I didn't think we had a bench that was able to carry on the work that we started. So thank you to my commanders and chiefs. Colonel Chauvin, thank you for being there the last year and a half. You were my rock, you're my sounding board, my vent for a lot of late nights on a lot of weekends. And he relayed the story about being from northern Louisiana. I'm from southern Texas, so we have a little bit in common. Our only difference really involves 90s wrestling. He's more of a Scott Steiner kind of guy. I'm more of a Von Erich kind of guy, but he knows his people. He knows them really well. He's shown that already, so if you don't mind, I'm going to tell him what you got me for my going away gift. PA, make sure you zoom in on this too. So this was his going away gift to me. That's Kerry Von Erich with the Texas in there, so I'm going to be wearing this proudly pretty shortly after this ceremony is over. Colonel Chauvin, thank you for everything that we went through together. Thank you for your support, and I'm proud to see you in the position that you are in, and you're going to do amazing work. Lastly, I want to talk directly to the men and women of the 152nd Airlift Wing. This last part, this is a love letter to the High Roller Airmen. I have nothing profound to say at this point. I've said it all. You know, we've had the conversations over the last 19 months, and we've written the latest chapter in the High Roller history books. And I'm proud to say that we did that together. It's not the big accomplishments that I'm going to take with me as I depart the fix. I refuse to take those. I choose not to take those accomplishments. Those are your successes. So everything you heard about, that was all stuff that you did. And you get to keep that. And you should be proud of that. I was simply humbled and honored to have the opportunity to lead this fine organization. The thing I will take with me are the little moments, the poignant, authentic conversations with airmen that I will most remember. It drove my front office crazy, but I would just leave without telling them and start walking around the base and go into an office I'd never been before and start having a conversation. And I would learn something about you that I didn't know, and maybe you learned something about me in return. So I want to talk about some of those unsung heroes that actually make this base operate, and we rarely talk about them as leadership. So I'm going to take this last opportunity to talk about some of those shops that don't get singled out. Wade, Ron, the rest of the building and grounds maintenance team, if you've seen this base, it's beautiful. They spend their time 5 in the morning beautifying our base, and they do that on a daily basis, and nobody ever talks about that. Our crew chiefs, our engine shop, they keep those airplanes in tip-top shape. They're proud of them. They're the best C-130s in the fleet, in my opinion. Master Sergeant Wise and her team in ammo, making sure that we have all of our ammunition accounted for and safe, extremely important. Sheet metal, fuels, comm focal point, supply, vehicle maintenance, pass and ID, public health. You touch every single airman on this base, and you do it without complaint. You're an unsung hero. Our Director of Psychological Health, Allison Pratt, she is there every day talking with our airmen, helping them, making sure they're staying mentally fit. You are one of our unsung heroes. It's Senior Master Sergeant Baker and the Port Dogs, the Load Masters from Chief Houchins and Senior Master Sergeant Halleck, all the way down to Staff Sergeant Kayla Terry. Lastly, to the lieutenants. As a lieutenant in a fighter squadron, my commander publicly announced that no squadron can effectively function without a strong Lieutenant Protection Agency. It's known as the LPA, as well as the Captain's Mafia. So, to that commander, I know you're looking down, pugs. I'm paying it forward. Lieutenants are the heart of the squadron, and our LPA is strong. Jay Ford, thank you, man. Thank you, Melissa, the whole team, for stepping up to the plate and continuing to build upon what we started. We share that vision, and I could have picked no better man to take the reins than you. You are the right leader at the right time to take this unit to the next level, and I can't wait to see what you have in store. I'll close with this. When we pass the flag today, the popcorn is fresh and on point, our CRUD skills are improving, our mission capable rate is top amongst our peers, and we flew more than any other C-130 unit this past year. We set out to become the #1 Air National Guard C-130 wing. What I just talked about sounds a lot like the #1 C-130 Air National Guard wing. Lead them well, Jay Ford. Once a high roller, always a high roller. Fight's on. Thank you.
Attention to orders. Under the provisions of the Air Force Instruction 51604, Special Order Number GC03, dated 4 June 2021, Colonel Jeremy Ford is appointed Commander, 152nd Airlift Wing, Reno, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 152nd Airlift Wing, Colonel Jeremy Ford.
Thank you. So it makes me more comfortable if I start out with a joke, so I'll just say that having this podium is a little different, a little new. I'm kind of like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands, so if I just kind of hold onto this thing, I think I'll be safe. So thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to start off with a long list of thank yous. This doesn't happen without a lot of folks. One, the ceremony, and two, just getting to where I am today. So I just want to start with some thank yous. First, so General Barry, General Hannafin, General Week, and the entire Nevada Air National Guard, the whole Nevada National Guard leadership team, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for being here. Thank you for your leadership. And General Barry, I just want to say that I'll echo like what everybody else has said. I've heard it more than once. To whom much is given, much is required. And I don't take that lightly, sir, so thank you. To Congressman Amade, to all of our other civic leaders and community leaders, thank you for being here. Although we have a fence around our wing, we are not isolated. We are part of this community, and we would certainly not be using our resources wisely if we didn't use our community and congressional members to make sure we're moving forward. So thank you, and look forward to working with you in the future. To Chief Williams, thanks for being here. It's a privilege to have you here. Thank you for being in the leadership series this morning. That was great. So again, appreciate you being out here. To Colonel Hammons, thanks for bringing me out here to be a high roller. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for letting our commanders be the commanders they need to be. Thank you for all the vision and foresight you've had. Thanks for putting everything you have into this organization. And thanks for the friendship. Again, kind of speaking about the ceremony, this doesn't happen by itself, so Lieutenant Colonel Brochard, all the folks that helped put this together, whether it's COM, maintainers putting the chairs out, everyone, thanks for doing this. And thanks to Tech Sergeant Norris for singing. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'd rather enter a gunfight with a butter knife than sing in public. So thanks for your courage. Thanks to all of you. To all the airmen of the 152nd, to all the high rollers. I'm going to give you another thanks here at the end, but thanks for being here and thanks for sharing this with us. 10 months ago, I took command of the maintenance group. And 10 months ago, that looked very different. We were still in COVID. We had 6 feet of spacing. We had our mask on. And we had a crowd limited to about 20 people. And my family of 5 took up 25% of that. So very, very different. So it's very great to see 1,000 folks out here. So speaking of the maintenance group, I've got to give them a great, huge thank you. The airmen out there, those maintainers are outstanding. The maintainers, the support staff, all those other functions out there, that entire group, I just want to say thank you for making my first command outstanding and something I'll never forget. So thank you for that. Part of that is the command team of the maintenance group. So I want to say a special thanks to Lieutenant Colonel Brown, to Major Bethel, Captain Buxton, Lieutenant Joshi, Lieutenant Zielinski, my chiefs, Brunn, Bright, Wainscote, Tejas, my senior master sergeants who are coming up here soon to be chiefs, Hanson and DeGolia, and then all the E8s, all those supervisors out there. That's the team I worked with the most, and I could not have been successful without that team. So thank you for helping me, making me look good. Thanks for taking care of the airmen every day, and thanks for hacking the mission every day. Thank you very much. All right, so moving on to family. So my brother's here today, and after 43 years, I finally have him in a position where I can pick on him. So being a younger brother, it was always the other way around. So bro, just sit there and take it like a man, okay? No, so I'll just start with this. Growing up, my brother maybe wasn't always the best role model. Maybe in high school he wasn't always the best, and maybe he was a challenge at times. I think my mom would probably agree with that. I'll just being fair. But regardless, as a little brother, you always look up to your big brother. So my brother's always been a role model. I don't know if I've ever told him that. But you always look up to your big brother. And he's had a big impact on my life. And as Colonel Chauvin mentioned, there's a little blip there where I joined the Army Reserves. And my brother, once he graduated high school, we weren't really sure what to expect. When he enlisted in the Army, there was no question that would change his life. And it's amazing to see that he found his calling, and that had a huge impact on me. So when it was time for me to graduate, even though I had always wanted to be an Air Force pilot, thank you Top Gun for the best Air Force recruiting movie ever. Thank you Navy for that. Even though that's what I'd always wanted to be, I got distracted because of my brother's success, and I ended up joining the Army Reserves. So, anyways. My brother, he's had a great career, retired Green Beret, so on and so on. I've got several things I was going to mention, but I'll just say my brother has a lot of great stories, but the stories he cannot tell you aren't the ones about what he did when he was a Green Beret. It's the stories about me when you go to find him later, okay? Nobody in this room has a security clearance high enough to access those stories, and so don't try. He's been instructed to inflict pain if you request any of those stories, so just off limits. So that brings me to my mother. So there I was, a soldier in the Army Reserves, going through college, And I was sitting on the college green one day, a confused young man trying to determine what he wanted to be when he grew up. And so I literally called my mom. I don't know if she remembers this or not. But I called my mom one day and I said, Mom, what did I always want to be? And she said, well, you always wanted to be an Air Force pilot. And I said, I'm going to do it. And that day I hung up with my mom and I went straight to the Air Force ROTC detachment at High University, and I signed up for the Air Force program, and here I am today. So thank you, Mom, for being a mom and knowing what's best for your kids. So obviously couldn't be here today without you, so thank you. Mom's had been through a lot. She's had two sons join the military. We've each deployed multiple times, probably more than we can count. We've actually been deployed together in the same combat zone together. So I know it's been tough on my mom, so thanks for all that. So ROTC brings me to the next, and now the most important person in my life, Melissa. So how my wife and I met, this is how the story goes, and don't ask her because she'll tell you some other story, but this is how it goes. So I joined Air Force ROTC, and as she was walking by down the hall one day, she saw this handsome guy in that class and said, well, I guess I'm going to join Air Force ROTC. So that's my story. She'll tell you that she wanted to serve, that she comes from a long line of service members in her family, but that's not really true. It's just this guy right here. So after going through ROTC together, 19 years later of marriage and 4 kids later, here we are today. And through that entire time, it's been a joint decision all the way. And even with our kids, every decision we make as a family. So thank you for always being there. Thank you for being a supportive family. And as Colonel Hammons said, you can't do this without a supportive family. It's a balance, and I can't thank him enough, so thank you. Okay, so I think we got through all the thank yous. So now to my speech. Thinking about what I should be talking about, I realized that I would be the last person standing between 1,000 airmen and Senga, so I figured I better boil this down pretty small. So really what it came down to is two things. That's people and mission. That's why we're here. That's why this organization exists. So we've heard that saying before, people first, mission always. And there's a lot in that saying. It's a very small, it's only 4 words, but it means a lot. So let's start first by talking about people. It's my mentality, it's my belief that if you take care of people, they will take care of the mission. If you take care of those airmen, they will get the mission done. And I asked Baked for some advice on what my speech should include today, and his main advice was make sure they know exactly what you want them to walk away with. So let me be very clear here, and let there be no mistake. If you take only one thing away from this speech today, know this. I have better flying hands than Colonel Chauvin. I'm sorry, I couldn't pass that up. I'll be honest, I can't back that up. I really can't. But as Maverick said in Top Gun, I saw a shot and I took it. So Top Gun is still paying me dividends today. Again, thank you, Navy. But in all seriousness, that really is the one thing I want you to take away, is that if we take care of the airmen, they will take care of the mission. And Colonel Hammons also told me that, as I become the wing commander, I'm going to have this message that I kind of repeat. And I think I quickly realized that that's the message that I will continue to repeat to all of you. So there's a lot that goes into that, taking care of airmen. That's training, that's schools, professional development, it's resources and equipment, it's resiliency, it's motivation, it's inspiration, it's mentorship, it's making sure that we know our airmen and we know their strengths and their weaknesses, it's taking care of their families, it's providing them clear objectives and expectations, it's providing an environment that's safe, inclusive, and respectful. And it's providing a culture and creating a culture of trust and empowerment. And those are just a few things that go into that statement, taking care of people. But what I think that really comes down to is leadership. And we as commanders and senior NCOs have the responsibility to make sure they are not that we do not deprive them of that leadership. So commanders and senior NCOs, let's be ready to make sure we're providing that for them. So moving on to mission. I don't think anybody has a question why we're here. We have 8 airplanes on the ramp. We have multiple capabilities out throughout this wing. That's why we're here, to fly, fight, win, air power, anytime, anywhere. I've been asked several times about what all kind of changed as far as our mission priorities and strategic goals. And I will tell you, and I hope this doesn't come as a shock, but I don't see making any big, huge changes. I think with the direction we've been given by Colonel Hammons and our state leadership team, I think we're on the right path. In the near term, what does that mean? Well, that's our core mission. We have our AEF deployment coming up this fall. Right now, we're in our MAF season. Those are missions that we can't let fail. So those are our near-term goals that we have to get after first. Looking ahead into the future, as Colonel Hammons has kind of exposed us to, there's that order out there by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force that talks about accelerate, change, or lose. And part of that, I think, is that agile combat employment and that multi-capable airman, ACE and MCA. So I look at it 2 ways. We can sit by and let somebody else figure out that problem and figure out the solution, and we can just wait for it to come hit us, or we can be part of that solution, and we can be proactive, and we can figure out how we, here at the 152nd, want to be part of ACE and MCA. So expect more of that to come. Finally, it should be no surprise that we are pursuing J models in this organization. Now, that's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. That's going to be a long fight. But at the end of the day, when we talk about wanting to remain relevant and viable for the future fight, that's the direction we need to go. So please don't be surprised if you hear our leadership talk about J models. And that's going to take several lines of effort, from using the resources we have here on the installation, using our NGB resources, and using our congressional delegation as well. So expect to hear more of that. I started today with a lot of thank yous, so I just want to give one last thank you in advance to all the high rollers. I truly believe that if we take care of the airmen, if we take care of each other, there is no mission, no challenge that will be put in front of us that we will not succeed at. So thank you again in advance, and I look forward to serving all of you. Thank you.